we are back after a short break and we are recording. You can see the orange dot at the upper right-hand side. And Mr. Cross has completed the discussion, or both parties have completed their examination of Ms. Fezahaya. So we now are on to the complaints last witness, which is the complainant. I assume you want to be called Susan?
Sue is fine.
Okay, Sue Novak. All right, so Ms. Novak, please raise your right hand. Do you swear the testimony you're about to give in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Under threat of possible prosecution for perjury?
Yes.
Okay, so Mr. Cross, you know that I require the witness to be in a separate room, so what are you doing with that?
Not the party witness.
Yes, I've told you when you had your other hearing with me, I had your client was in a different room from you. I said that.
Okay, no, I mean, that's fine. I must have slipped my mind. So I'll be right back.
All right. How long is this going to be? Should we take another break?
No, less than 3 minutes.
All right.
Are you moving or do you want me to?
I'm gonna go downstairs. That should be no problem. Okay. No, you're right, Judge. Sorry, I forgot.
All right. We have Mr. Cross. We have a screen. Do you want to get more water, Ms. Novak, before you begin?
Do you mind? I would love to.
Yes, why don't you do that? Otherwise, you're going to
I'll
get
bring
really
it to you. I'll bring it
parched.
to you.
Okay. Yeah, I don't see a sink in here. I had foot surgery about a week ago, so I'm hobbling around and not I can't get around very well.
Okay, I understand. Don't really realize how much you use it until you can't. It's very frustrating.
Exactly.
You think small things like just going to the restroom or to the kitchen, everything is locked.
Yeah, it's just even standing up right now with the blood flow in the vein. Yeah. I see. Thank you.
Sure. 2 hours is a long time to go without when you're talking and don't have anything to drink.
Agree.
All right, so we are now, I think, ready to go. And I've now sworn you in, Ms. Novak. Can you please state your name and spell it for the record, please?
Susan, Susan, Novak, Novak.
Okay, Ms. Novak, you understand that you're under oath?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and you, if you have any questions about what's being asked of you, you don't understand the question, you didn't hear it, let us know so we can, give you that information before you answer, okay?
Okay.
So basically, don't answer if you don't understand, okay?
Okay.
And if something's obscuring
Great, you can
your,
hear me okay?
can you hear Mr. Cross?
Ken, yes.
Awesome, all
Would
right,
it be better louder? Can you hear him well?
I can hear him pretty good. Yep.
Okay.
great,
All
okay.
right, so then just make sure that you let us know if there's any issues. All right, then begin your direct, please, Mr. Cross.
Great. Do you work for the Department of Corrections, Ms. Novak?
Yes, I did.
From approximately what time did you work for the Department of Correction?
Started in 1989 all the way up until 2020.
Okay, and what was the last position you held?
Warden at Columbia Correctional Institution.
Okay, and let's say as warden, were you ever investigated for any disciplinary reasons?
Yes.
Okay, and approximately when was that?
Began in April of 2020.
Okay, and generally speaking, why were you investigated?
An escape occurred of 2 inmates at Columbia Correctional.
Okay. And do you know who Kevin Carr is?
Yes.
And who is Kevin Carr?
He's the secretary of the Department of Corrections.
Okay. And prior to the escape, did you have any, let's say, negative interactions with Kevin Carr?
Can you explain negative?
Right. So let's put it another way. I would say, did you have any interactions with Kevin Carr in which you became emotional?
What do you mean by emotional? I'm sorry.
No, I understand that. And you heard Miss Fesahai testify earlier that there was some meetings that you were in with her in which you became her and Mr. Carr in which you became emotional. Do you recall that?
Yes.
Okay. So is that can you explain to us your recollection of that meeting with Mr. Secretary Carr and Miss Fesahai?
I don't think she specified what meeting. I mean, in my tenure of warden, we had many meetings, not a lot with the secretary face to face, but there were a few times, and I don't think she specified what the topic was or what we were meeting about.
Okay. Now, I guess in 2019, to back up a second, where were you the warden?
Columbia Correctional Institution.
Okay, and at Columbia, did you have any reason to recommend a lockdown anytime?
Yes.
Okay, and approximately when was that?
We had at least two, lockdowns when I was there.
In 2019?
In 2019, yes, we had a lockdown.
Okay. And what, generally speaking, was the reason for that lockdown?
We had just gone through 3 serious staff assaults. Our staff didn't feel safe. We needed to figure out what was going on. We didn't want, open movement and things. We didn't know if there were hits out on staff. We had to secure the institution in order to investigate.
Okay. And did you make the decision let's put it another way. Did you have the authority to initiate the lockdown on your own at that time?
No.
Okay, who did?
I just know that if I wanted a lockdown, I would have to tell my supervisor, I would have to request it, and I would have to have reasons why. It's nothing that we do on a whim. It's taken seriously. I'm not sure if he has the authority or if the administrator or the secretary, I don't know.
Okay, and who would have been your supervisor at that time?
Doug Percy.
Okay, and when you say you needed to have reasons, how did you communicate those reasons to Mr. Percy, if at all?
I believe it started with a phone call.
Okay, and then did you ever put those reasons in writing?
It's quite possible, but I don't remember.
Okay. And then was Mr. Percy the only person who's you needed to consult in order to initiate this lockdown?
Yes, well, he's the one I consulted, and then he said he would have to ask Makta and talk to the secretary's office. So he
Okay.
did that.
Do you know if he ever did that?
Yes, he did.
Okay, how do you know that?
Because he called me back and he said it was approved at the secretary level.
Okay. So, I mean, in other words, the secretary said you could do it. Is
Yeah.
that your understanding?
Yes.
Okay. So, about how long did that lockdown last?
I would be guessing, but I would say maybe 2 months.
Okay. Do you believe that the lockdown was controversial?
Yes.
Okay. And did you discuss, let's put it another way, did you ever report to your supervisors about the lockdown while it was ongoing?
I'm going to object at this point. The lockdown is not really relevant to the allegations contained in the complaint.
Yes, we've talked about it. I thought it was in connection with some testimony regarding Mr. Carr and his interaction with Miss.
Okay, and,
Novak.
yeah, I'm going to try to bring it around to that. So, I understand, and I guess I'll just re-ask another question, if you don't mind there. So, was there ever pressure put on you to end the lockdown at all?
Yes.
Okay, and who did that come from?
It came from the secretary's office through Doug Percy.
Okay, and then did you ever meet with any members of management and any prisoner rights groups at any time during the lockdown?
Did I meet with them?
Yes.
No.
Okay, did you learn of Secretary Carr meeting with any prisoner rights groups during the lockdown?
Yes.
Okay, and how did you learn that?
He and Makta met with inmate or advocate groups semi-regularly, to my knowledge, and I learned that from Makta. She would share that with me.
Okay, and did you ever see any, let's say, like online articles about Secretary Carr meeting with these groups?
Yes, I saw a newsletter that they put out.
Okay, and what, if anything, did you learn from the newsletter?
I'm going to object. This wasn't admitted into evidence because we have no idea who the newsletter was written by. I don't think there's any basis to talk about the substance of this. It's not a document in evidence.
Same, it's not a document we allowed into the record.
Well, so far, was it
And
categorically?
did she write the document?
Did you review the document? That's the question.
Well, don't talk about what's in the document then. Go ahead.
Okay, have you read this? Did you review the newsletter or article?
Yes.
Okay, when did you do that?
In January of 2020, shortly after it was published, it was brought to my attention from other wardens. They sent it to me.
Okay. And did they say why they sent it to you at that time?
Judge, again, this is not relevant.
I
This
don't
is
see
not,
what the
this
relevance
document
is.
hasn't been authenticated. We have no idea what this is.
And I don't know why we're talking about this. This was about a conversation she had with Secretary Carr. Can we get to the conversation she had with Secretary Carr?
Sure. But did you ever learn that Secretary Carr said that he met with you on a regular basis and had a meeting with you recently, and that he said that he didn't think you broke any rules or did anything fireable, but he would not hesitate to fire you if you did?
Objection, that's hearsay.
Sustained. But let's just go to Ms. Novak. In your understanding of what happened with respect to this meeting, did you understand that Secretary Carr was supporting you and your actions in the lockdown?
Yes and no.
Okay,
And why did-
how no?
Because he made the statement that if I violated any work rules, he wouldn't hesitate to fire me. And that he has done that before to people based on his experience as a marshal, I think, or as a jail administrator. I don't remember the exact wording.
Okay.
I'm going to object to that answer and move to strike it to the extent that it's based on the document that we've already established is not admissible at this hearing.
Okay. I think we have Secretary Carr's testimony to some extent about it, so I'm going to allow it in. And let's just move on. So
Okay.
that was it.
Thank you for that. So, let's say, did you have a meeting with Secretary Carr about the lockdown in which you became emotional?
Again, emotional means a lot of different things to me. We met, I believe, in central office to talk about the staff assaults that had happened. I mean, I didn't cry. Is that what you mean by emotional? Or
No, and I'm sorry, I don't, that's not the, I guess, are you able then to identify a specific conversation with Secretary Carr about the injury to the staff worker?
not with Secretary Carr, no.
Okay, how about Ms. Fesahai?
Yes, she actually, her and I met at the institution on a Saturday. She wanted to come in and do rounds with me to check on the staff. So her and I met in my office. I do remember that.
Okay, was that before or after the escape?
Before.
Okay.
It was right after the third staff assault.
Okay. Now, I guess we'll move forward in time here to the escape itself. Prior to the escape, did you have any warning of any potential issues?
Can you be more specific?
Absolutely. Well, were there any issues with Department of Corrections staff members prior to the escape attempt?
Staff at Columbia?
Right.
We always had staff investigations going on. I didn't have any open investigations regarding an escape attempt or possibility, but
Okay, but how about staff assisting the eventual escape?
no, I had no investigation about a staff assisting in a potential escape before the escape.
Okay, and I'm going to back up just because we may be using different vocabulary here. But do you know who Holly Zimdahl is?
Yes.
Who is Holly Zimdahl?
She was a correctional food service leader at Columbia.
Okay, and do you know if she still works at Columbia?
I don't think she does.
Okay, and do you know why she is no longer working at Columbia?
I know she was charged with aiding or abetting the inmate escape, and I believe she was sentenced. So
Okay, so
we're
just
losing
based, and did you have, I guess, I don't want to say investigation, but was there any knowledge of any potential issue with Ms. Zimdahl prior to the escape?
Yes.
Okay, can you explain what that knowledge was?
We had we had gotten we had gotten inmate allegations, you'd say, that Ms. Zimdahl was spending too much time with certain inmates, so she was going into the cooler with them. In the meantime, we had another worker, I think her name was Carol White. She had some allegations against Holly Zimdahl. Holly Zimdahl had allegations against Carol White. It was kind of this back and forth. He said, she said. So yeah, the security department was looking into that whole food service department, reviewing some video and trying to see if there was any substance to the allegations.
Okay, and when you say security department, what does that mean?
We had an investigative captain whose only duty was to perform staff investigations. He would take the initial allegations, he would do a little bit of work to see if they were legitimate. And then he would take them to the security director and ask for permission to either discredit it or start an employee investigation.
Okay. And just so that everybody understands, where is security director in the institution hierarchy?
He is the third in command.
Okay. And do you understand what I think 15807 form is?
Yes,
Okay. And what is that form?
it's an employee investigative report form. There's multiple layers to it, A, B, C, D, E, F.
Okay. Did you let's say initiate a 15807 form on Ms. Zimdahl?
I don't remember if it was officially, I don't initiate those, so I don't remember if Mr. Gusky okayed that, if they actually started one.
Okay. But you would have had to, as the appointing authority, wouldn't you have had to sign off on it?
No.
Okay, who could have initiated it if you didn't?
We had, the security director had the authority to, and also the deputy warden.
Okay. But prior to the escape, there was no formal investigation started into Ms. Zimdahl, right?
I can't remember if it was on paper, but yes, we were looking into her. They were investigating her.
Okay. And I just want to be clear on what that word means, because that means that you were looking into the allegations. Does that mean that there was a formal investigation? Does that mean something else?
Before you, well, my understanding and my training, before you actually fill out 15 or 807, you have to have some substantial evidence to start one. Every day we got 100 kites from inmates alleging staff misconduct. It was hundreds every day. So you have to differentiate which ones you're going to look into. But from what I remember, Mr. Gusky had given the okay for them to just look and see if they had enough evidence to start a formal investigation, and that's what they were doing.
Okay, I got it. So And that basically that means to start a formal investigation, you have to have some tangible evidence of a potential work rule violation. Is that fair?
Yes.
Okay. Now, did you have any reason to consult any supervisor during this investigation into Miss Imdahl?
Yes, I don't know how much information you need. So it was alleged she was going into coolers with inmates, so that's a red flag. It's against the rules. Either the inmate goes in the cooler, the staff waits outside. When they reviewed video, there was a lot of food service staff that were doing this. And it was a management issue, a training issue, that they shouldn't be doing this. So it wasn't clear cut that it was only her, or that was because of anything else but grabbing food out of there. There was an allegation that I believe she may have given an inmate a phone, but we had no proof of that. But because that's a serious allegation, I was on the fence about whether or not I should put her out on administrative leave.
Okay. So it's fair to say that you had a serious allegation, but you didn't have any actual proof. Is that what I understood?
We did not, I didn't have credible proof so that I could say it's more likely than not that this had happened.
And who made the allegation?
There was an inmate, I believe, and another food service worker, like I said, who they had an ongoing back and forth thing with each other.